I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which I'm presenting, the Turrbal people, and I pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'm going to share a screen with you just to give you some basic information. So please, this is how we'll be running the session. Today, we'll be moving quickly. We've only got 1 hour, so please stay muted unless you're asked. Please have your smartphone handy. We will be asking you to use your phone at some stages during this particular session. Use the chat room. The chat room is open and is being monitored. If you have any general comments, please make your comments to everyone. If you have anything to add, any additional wisdom, I am not even pretending that I am an authority on this particular subject. I'm happy to take input from anybody else and their experience of AI, particularly its use for Toastmasters. If you have any specific comments or questions, please send those to June Watson in your chat room. June will be collecting those and passing them on to me if they need to be responded to. I won't have time to be able to watch the chat room. And do not ask me when I give you a reference, what was that reference? Because it will drive me crazy and frustrate everyone. There will be a handout going into the chat room, and on that handout will be the names and also the URL, the contact details for every piece of technology that I'll be referring to during this session. I need to suggest to you what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be covering 5 areas: using AI for speech research, using AI for your speech writing, using AI for your speech practice, using it for speech analytics and feedback, or using it to help your club. Those are the 5 areas, and I'd like to know which of those areas are of interest to you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you to get your phone out. And I'd like you to go to menti.com, menti.com. You can see it on the screen there. And when you go to Menti, please put in the code 22673738. You can see it on the screen there. And I'd just like to know from your particular perspective, which of those 5 areas where you might be able to use AI as a Toastmaster would interest you most? Speech research, speech writing, speech practice, speech analytics and feedback, or how you might be able to use AI to better help your club. So let's move very quickly. Please just vote which area you think might be of most interest to you, and I will give the right weighting to those areas to make sure I'm responsive to what you're looking for. So we've actually got a lot of people who want to be able to use Toastmasters to help their club. Also, I'm doing their research and their analytics and feedback, and we'll also be covering speech writing and speech practice. I need to give you a couple of quick disclaimers at the very start. Number 1, I'm not an expert. I am simply an interested player in the field. I'm not an authority on this subject. What you're going to be hearing is only my opinion based on my limited experience. I am not endorsing, recommending, or accepting responsibility for anything that you do in the AI space. I'm simply sharing what I have experienced. But I am sharing everything with a positive intent, so please accept it in the right spirit. Going to do a quick little refresher where we've been so far. Where have we come in the last 6 months with artificial intelligence? Here's a quick little video to be able to bring you up to date. Let's do a quick catch up on the state of play in this fast-moving area of AI. First of all, you've all heard of ChatGPT, run by OpenAI, and you can get a free account, which will allow you to log in, And once you've logged in, you will get a page you may be familiar with that looks like this. Now, this is ChatGPT 3.5, which is the version you get for a free account. If you want to pay the $20 US for the subscription version, you can go into ChatGPT 4. But that actually has a current cap of 25 messages every 3 hours, because obviously it's getting very high usage from the corporate area. But make sure you use the ChatGPT that's coming from OpenAI. Google has a version of an artificial intelligence chatbot called Bard. And if you go to Bard, you'll get a page that looks like this with a very similar functionality to ChatGPT. It is not as popular as ChatGPT at the moment, but obviously with the resources of Google, it will catch up fairly quickly. Microsoft Bing is another AI chatbot, and interestingly, it has introduced an option where you can actually choose, when the chatbot looks for information, whether it will be more creative, whether it's going to give you a balanced feed, or whether it's going to be really precise about the information that it chooses for you. Microsoft Edge is their version of a web browser, which up until now has not been very successful. But if you go to Microsoft Edge now and you click the Bing icon in the top right-hand corner, you will activate the Bing chatbot to allow you to interrogate a web page or even the entire internet. I'll use this now to look for a product called Copilot, which is Microsoft's version of an AI chatbot. It is not available yet, and it's being spoken about on the Microsoft blog. They say it will be available sometime later in 2023. But what I can do is I can activate Bing, and then what Bing will do, as you can see there, is it will do a page summary for all of the information that's on that particular page. And then I can use that chatbot to interrogate further and find more information. So again, that was just showing you 3 very, very quick applications of AI which are readily available to you. You may not have heard of Copilot yet, but I would be amazed if by the end of the year, every one of you who has Microsoft Office will not be using Copilot, because basically it's an AI bot which will interrogate your entire Microsoft Office suite of products, all of your files, and be able to find information for you and put it together in an artificially intelligent way. I just want to spend 1 or 2 minutes talking about the use of ChatGPT. Some of this you may already know, so I apologize if I'm telling you how to suck eggs. But for those of us who are not familiar, I'm basing it on my observation of how people have used ChatGPT when I've been watching them. And really, they've been using it pretty much the same as Google. They put in a question and they've been surprised, amazed at the level of response that they get from it. But that's all they do. They just ask it one question. And to me, using ChatGPT like Google is a bit like using your smartphone just to make telephone calls. You are only using a very, very tiny percentage of its functionality. So you have a conversation with ChatGPT. We need to remember it's a chatbot. It's interrogating great swathes of information for you, and you need to continually interrogate it. So first point, have a conversation with it. And in my general rule of thumb, it's only when I get to the 3rd or 4th question of ChatGPT that I start getting the really good answers. So I need to ask it more specific questions. If I'm asking it questions about a speech, I will ask it questions about my audience. I'll be very specific about the audience. I will say, how would you rewrite this speech if I was talking to 25-year-old females who are considering having a child in the next 2 years? That is how specific I will be with the audience, and it will give me further information. And I'll keep regenerating it. I'll be honest with you, I have not noticed that the paid version of ChatGPT is noticeably better than the free version at the moment. but I do not believe that will continue to be the case. Second point, and I may have mentioned this to some of you already, be polite. ChatGPT gives you better answers if you say please. The nicer you are to ChatGPT, the nicer it will be back to you. It has a vested interest in teaching people to be nice. And so if you're nice to it, it will be nicer back to you. And finally, please, always fact check everything. The best description I ever heard of ChatGPT is it's like going to a rubbish bin where you have just put all of a lot of information that you've fed through a shredder. And what it's doing is it's trying to extract information from all of that data in there. And about 70 to 80% of the time, it will get it right. But about 20% of the time, it will give you rubbish because of the way it put things together. It will tell you that, and you need to be aware of that. But not using it because it's erroneous, I think, is very, very silly. I mean, let's face it. 10 to 20% of the people who drive on the roads shouldn't be driving. 5% of them are psychopaths who are just waiting to create the next road rage incident. This does not stop us using the road. We're just a little bit more careful about how we actually use it. In using ChatGPT to research my speeches, and Adrian mentioned earlier on when we went to see a group of 15-year-olds who are doing a youth leadership program for us, it was their natural tendency to simply pick up their device, put in the topic into ChatGPT, and then read to us what it actually produced. This is not the way to use ChatGPT. Do not ask it to tell you what to say. Ask it to tell you what to talk about. So I will actually say, if I'm speaking about this particular subject to this particular audience, what are the 5 points that they might be most interested in? I'm using it as a research tool. I'm using it as an audience analysis tool. And then I'll ask it more specific questions, as I said, to be able to get better information. You'll always ask it for more than you want. Where I've convinced a school in Singapore with secondary 3 students, so they're about 14-year-old students, using it to help them in their debating. And the school was paranoid about the fact that they would just generate stuff and recite that. And the way that we've been able to overcome that is we've said, no, if the students want 3 ideas, they will ask ChatGPT to generate 7 ideas. They will then use their critical thinking skills and the tools that we've given them to be able to narrow those 7 down to 3 that they might use, or maybe even have been prompted to come up with ideas of their own. And also other ways that I use it, I will actually ask it, please give me 3 metaphors that might be useful to be able to describe this. Please give me 3 analogies that I might use to be able to describe this. Please give me 5 examples. Now, not examples from recent history. ChatGPT is open about the fact that it is very weak at recent history, but I'm asking it to give you examples, to give you stories, to give you quotes. I ask it for attributed quotes that might be useful for this particular situation. And really, all it's doing is it's allowing me to do in 5 minutes what might normally take me an hour. Also, in my training with my professional clients, we are spending a lot of time now, because in business presentations, there's always a question and answer session. And my theory now is the responses to the questions in a business presentation are much more important than the prepared material that you've got and the flashy slideshow that you've actually created. And so what I actually use a ChatGPT for is to be able to generate the questions. I will actually feed the entire presentation into ChatGPT. And then I'll say, if I have an audience of C-level engineers based in Malaysia, what are the 5 questions that they might ask me about this? And I'm using it to be able to help me to generate better questions. And I've even used it with trainees when they've been reluctant to put together a speech that I need to assess for them. I've got frustrated. I just put their topic into ChatGPT and said, just deliver this to me. And if you want a scary example, I might have mentioned this to a couple of you. 2 weeks ago, I was working with a senior executive from the Singaporean Defence Intelligence Agency who had to do a presentation for me. He'd been a little bit lazy and hadn't written his presentation. So I got frustrated with him and said, right, I just put into ChatGPT, if I was talking to an audience of senior executives about the the Singaporean Defence Intelligence Agency, what might I say in a 5-minute speech? And I gave it to him. He came back to me with 2 comments. Number one, he said that the English in that presentation was better than he would have written, and he was Singaporean, with all due respect. That wasn't a terrible surprise. The second point was, he said there were 2 points that were mentioned in that speech that he thought was still top secret. So it's giving you a good example of the reach of this particular technology as well. I've been talking about this for a number of years, but I'd be surprised if most of you are aware of it. In Microsoft Word, you have ability to be able to analyze your writing. In Microsoft Word, you can now use the grammar and spell check to be able to check it for casual writing. You can swap between casual writing and formal writing. And my aim is always to use casual writing and to get a high percentage. And if I get a higher percentage on formal writing than I get on casual writing, then I need to go there and make it more conversational. It will also allow me to get document statistics out of that. These are the basic analytics, and the 2 analytics it will give you that are useful are the Flesch-Kincaid grade level, which always must be 8 or below, and the passive sentence percentage, which always needs to be below 10%. The Flesch-Kincaid grade level is measuring the average length of your sentences and the number of syllables per word. So if you have a grade level of above 8, it will be too difficult to deliver. And if you have a passive sentence count of above 10%, it's going to be hard to deliver with impact. You'll also, if you want to, enable auto scroll. Auto scroll gives you a basic kind of teleprompter. So again, on auto scroll, I go in there to the quick access toolbar. I go to commands, not in the ribbon. I highlight auto scroll and I add it. And then when I do that, I can actually put my text into Microsoft Word. If I was smart, I'd actually minimize the menu bar at the top there as well. You can see the auto scroll button has appeared, and then I can use that little down arrow to be able to determine at which feed the document is fed through, so as it provides me with an auto scroll function. Those of you who want to use auto scroll for practicing, there is also a piece of free software called SpeakFlow, speakflow.com, and you can connect that to your microphone, so it will act exactly like a teleprompter that works in a professional environment. Will listen to your speech and feed the presentation through to you. I'm now going to show you a quick interview I did with a lady who was a Toastmaster, Dr. Irina Yasin-Shaw. Now, I'll explain to you at the start of the video why I'm talking to her, but just to give you her background, she was a Toastmaster, still involved with Toastmasters, even though not officially a member of Sunnybank Toastmasters Club. She has a PhD in creative problem solving. She's very heavily involved in the area of innovation. She has just finished a stint as a visiting professor at Ohio State University and is currently an adjunct fellow at Griffith University. So here's a video from Irina explaining how she thinks we should be thinking about AI. We are doing this particular Toastmaster educational session on artificial intelligence. It occurred to me that the ideal person for me to have an interview with is somebody who not only has an experience as Toastmaster, but is also a world leader in thinking about entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, and also creativity. Dr. Irina Yasin-Shaw, the founder and CEO of the Global Entrepreneurs Institute, has given me some of her time. And Irina, I'd just like to have your thoughts about the effect of AI in the world at the moment.
First of all, Kevin, can I say a huge thank you for inviting me to be part of this. Always a delight to reconnect with Toastmasters, no matter where we are and where they are. Spent many years there and have many wonderful memories and friends from that time in my life. And thank you for that introduction. Yes, and and very kind of you to refer to me as a thought leader in those areas. I did do my PhD in the field of creative problem solving and creative thinking, which then led me, I guess, to work in the area of innovation within organizations, helping them to bring change and transformation in creative and effective ways. And now I'm doing that through the Global Entrepreneurs Institute, which has morphed into the term intrapreneurialism. So innovation has gone to entrepreneurialism. And the reason for that is because an intrapreneur is the person who drives that change and innovation within an organization, and it all comes down to the human. So if we don't have passionate people inside organizations who are doing great things and driving that, then nothing happens. And so that's why I've now put my focus on human beings, who are the core of all change and transformation and innovation, and they're the intrapreneurs. So what was your question?
Well, with all of your connections around the world, what impact are you seeing AI having on individuals and on organizations?
Right. Okay. So we are going through this incredible transformation right now. So we've just seen ChatGPT released in probably like late last year, that it became mainstream, probably about December-ish or so. Within a couple of months, it was just taken up by everyone, the fastest take up in the history of technology, #1 app in the world right now. And that just kind of opened the floodgates to all things AI. So these days I wake up every single day, and there's this slew of new AI tools that does everything, not yet do your laundry, but, oh, actually, no, that's not true. my washer dryer, which is combined in one, is full of AI, and that's actually the point. We've been using AI for quite a long time, and it's been part of our lives, but it's kind of become much more visible just in the last few months, especially because of the slew of new tools that we've got. So to answer your question, what's going to happen is that you'll have the people who are embracing it, and the organizations who are embracing the tools that we've got, because they see that this really is the future. And then we've got people who and organizations who might say, no, look, I think it's just all too overwhelming. I'm not going down that road at the moment. I'm just going to stick to the way that I know works. And those two different pathways are going to diverge increasingly as we go forward. And my prediction will be that the ones that embrace AI, of course, are going to become much more future ready. They will be able to innovate faster. The ones that don't embrace AI, whether we're talking about people or organizations, are the ones that are going to become dinosaurs very quickly, because the rate of change is just so fast right now. And so I think this is a time that we need to be really careful about the decisions we make, about how we engage with AI, and to not ignore it, to certainly recognize that it's here to stay, and we need to make some smart decisions about how we engage with it, versus saying, oh, look, it's too much, I don't have time, or I can't see the use of it, and those are the organizations and the people who will get left behind.
So what are your suggestions about the way that we can become enriched or nourished by this flood, rather than being drowned by it?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because it is very easy to feel overwhelmed and drowned by the tsunami of change in relation to AI that we've got going all around us. So, and I think, Kevin, I'm going to say I feel overwhelmed by it. I think, I'm getting the impression maybe from the questions you're asking, you might say, yes, I'm a bit overwhelmed by it too. And I think most people feel that way, because the change is so fast. And so the way I approach it, and I think it's a relatively smart way, is to say, I can't possibly get my head around everything. What are the things that are going to add the most value to my work, to my life? And then pick a few key tools that will be useful for me to use, and then actually use them, actually implement them, and create some outcomes from them that create value for me. So rather than just, doing something for 2 minutes and then, oh, there's something else, oh, there's something else, oh, there's something else, and then just constantly hopping from one thing to the other without ever mastering or making any use of the original tools that you started with, that's a great way to waste a lot of time. And I think we just need to accept the fact we're not going to be across this. We're not going to be able to say, oh, I know all about the best tools about what's out there, because there's just too many. So start with the few that will actually make a difference, that will save you time, that will increase your productivity, that will give you better resources. And that's the way I approach the use of AI. So I use tools that predominantly save me time. So save me time on research, on writing, on developing sales copy, on video production. So these are the things that I often have to outsource, and there's a lot of toing and froing. So this tool, the tools that I use, enable me to actually do it quicker, do it faster, have more control over the process, instead of sort of like back and forth with my VA in the Philippines. Oh, change this, change that. I can just get it done in one go. So I would say just find a few things. So in relation to Toastmasters, for example, what I could see that Toastmasters could use AI for is to help them analyze the language of their speeches, the presentation skills that they're using. They can use AI to practice with, to give them some really good feedback about how they are pacing their speech. You can certainly get much better. We could get much better at figuring out how to use better language using the support of AI. I mean, AI writes amazing sales copy. I cannot believe the quality of the sales copy that I get back from ChatGPT, and I use that constantly. So it's always open on one of my screens. I'm looking over there because that's where all my AI tools are. I've got multiple screens around me, and I just integrate it seamlessly into my workday, but I'm not constantly looking for the next bright shiny object. So that would be my feedback or share for Toastmasters who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all. Just pick a few, start with that. Anything that looks like it's too big, a challenge. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just start with 1 or 2 or 3 tools that you know will add value to your work. Use them.
Thank you. That's very wise, because I think the temptation with AI is to believe that somehow it's going to make us something that we not already are. And what you're saying is no, help it to make a better you rather than something that you're not already. And it's artificial intelligence. And as you're saying, we need that human intelligence, because artificial intelligence without human intelligence is going to take us into some very dark places.
The human is at the heart of everything. Yes.
Irina, I know what a busy person you are, and I really appreciate your time. For all of the listeners, please make an effort to go to GII.institute. That's the Global Entrepreneurs Institute website. You'll see some great information there. Or Dr. Irina Yasin-Shaw. Join her on LinkedIn. If she hears from you, I'm sure you'll be able to connect with her. Okay, I've noticed that there's been some questions come in about the use of AI to write our PowerPoint slideshows. On the handout, you will notice I've given you a link to a website called there'sanaIforthat.com. That is the one that I know the greatest aggregation of AI chatbots available currently in the world. Last count, there was 4,600 of those. You can put in there the particular application you want. If you put in design PowerPoint slideshows, you get about 25 AI bots. I'll be really honest. I think I'm okay with PowerPoint, and not one of those bots produces better slideshows than I do. However, if I was not competent and was struggling with my level of competency with PowerPoint, then sites like Beamer, BWMER, would be an excellent place to start. I then might do some modifications. But with these sites, you feed your entire presentation into the chatbot, and it will create a slide deck for you. I also just want to spend a little bit of time talking about particular use of AI to be able to help you write better speeches. And these are some of the more qualifying questions that I've used. So I have gone back to, after I put a presentation in there, and I've actually asked it, please adjust this for delivery to a live audience. Please adjust this for delivery to an audience of this particular demographic. I have also, again, because I'm an Australian, might not be relevant to all of you, I've actually gone in there and said, can you please write this in more conversational Australian English? And it's given me different responses. My good friend Brad gave me 2 words that have transformed my use of AI for rewriting my speeches. And those 2 words are burstiness and perplexity. And so what I will do now is I will go back, I will feed my speech into ChatGPT, and I will say, please rewrite this, applying the principles of burstiness and perplexity. And I fed into it one of my contest-winning speeches. And to be honest, 90% of what came out was pretty much what I'd written. But on 2 key lines, it created rewrites that I would never have thought of and were better than I think I would have written. So burstiness is the principle of how familiar a certain phrase is. Perplexity is how much curiosity a sentence creates in our mind. And you will get a better chance of being able to get a speech that you can be more proud of. I'm going to ask very quickly, put your hand up if you have had any experience of Yoodli, YOODLI. So there's a couple of you. Thomas, you were the first to put your hand up. Could you just unmute yourself and tell me what your experience has been of that?
We used one of its functions for a table topics game for it spitting out particular words and topics for members to speak to.
And how did it go?
That was good for a laugh. Yeah, challenging.
Yep. Okay, so really you were using it pretty much the same as you might use ChatGPT. Go in there and say, I've got a Toastmaster meeting on the theme of this. Can you please suggest 8 table topics I might use? I've actually fed a speech into it and said, can you please evaluate this speech using Toastmaster principles? And it evaluated the context. So it understands Toastmasters. Now, Thomas, did you go to the Toastmaster Yoodli site?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this because this has just been my experience. And I hope it doesn't get me into too much trouble. I have gone to the Toastmasters Yoodli site and seen the functionality for it to be able to analyze your speeches, and it is excellent. It is one of the best speech analytics of all those different bots, and there's a dozen out there. It does it better. It will give me feedback on how many ums and ahs, and you know with me, that will challenge any piece of AI. It will give me feedback on my rate of delivery. It will tell me how often I've smiled. It only works when your face is in this type of framing. I've tried it on doing a full body shot, and it struggles with picking up smiles, but we'll give you a feedback on your eye contact. It will tell you when you paused, how long you paused for. So it will give you a really detailed analytics on your particular presentation. However, there is an application of Yoodli which allows you to allow Yoodli to attend a meeting, like a Zoom meeting or like a Teams meeting. And I haven't been able to find that in the Toastmaster Yoodli free app. It may be there, but I don't know. So what I did was I went into, before I knew about Toastmasters and Yoodli, I went into Yoodli and subscribed on the free Yoodli public site. And it actually asked me, are you a speaker? Are you a coach? And I put in coach. And it's given me access to a Yoodli bot that I can now have attend a Zoom meeting. Now, I believe that will probably be somewhere in the Toastmaster, but because the 2 landscapes of the 2 different sites are slightly different, I haven't been able to find that in the Toastmaster version. So I'm just mentioning that, but to give you an idea of how useful that is, when I had that
My
meeting
pleasure. Thank
with
you, Kevin.
Irina, what I did was I had the chatbot join that meeting. And it gave me a full transcript of everything that Irina said. It gave me analytics of our word choice, of our body language, how often each of us made eye contact with the screen. And as I said, a very accurate full transcript of every word that was said. Irina wasn't aware of that. And she spent about 3 seconds with her mouth gobsmackingly open, said, I will never use a secretary at a meeting again. I will simply get this bot to attend the meetings. It even gave us a summary of everything that Irina said in a 200-word, pretty accurate summary of what the content of her presentation was. So to me, this is really useful. To me, this is going to make us more functional, more efficient. And if we can use these tools correctly, I think it was going to make us smarter. Now, I'm also on your slideshows. Be aware of the fact that you have a piece of AI in PowerPoint called the PowerPoint Coach. So you can put when you can rehearse your slideshows directly to your laptop, you can get the coach to record that, and then you will get analytics, as you can see on the screen there, for a very short presentation that I did. It will tell you how well you went. It gives you feedback on your pitch, a lot of other details there on your presentation. So the PowerPoint Coach has been there for about 12 months. It was a bit clunky when it first started, but like all of these bots, they learn very, very quickly. Final piece of technology I want to show you, and this is probably where it's going now. When I first became aware of this piece of technology, you had to have one of those weird big headsets, the virtual reality headsets to wear, so as you could experience this particular technology. But now they've actually moved that away so as it can work in a normal screen environment. I'll just show you a quick video of what a company called Virtual Speech is doing now.
So you're looking for powerful training in speaking and communication skills. You want to be able to practice in an immersive and interactive environment, but you don't have access to VR headsets. Virtual Speech is proud to introduce VR in your web browser. Simply log on to virtualspeech.com and navigate to the training module or practice environment of your choice, all directly in your browser. Just like you would in virtual reality, you can look all around you. You'll receive feedback on your speech in a variety of situations, from meetings and presentations to sales pitches and job interviews. And you'll interact with avatars who'll listen and respond to what you say.
First of all, that is a paid version. That you don't get that sort of stuff for free, but I'm just showing it as an example of where I think things will actually be going. That will actually not only give you analytics, it will train you. I've seen a version of that where it gives you a full auditorium. Then what it does is it will subtly highlight different people in the audience for you to make eye contact with, and then we'll give you feedback on how well you've actually made eye contact with those people randomly chosen around the audience. So it is actually being developed as a training tool as well. And Irina told me about a number of examples where she is seeing companies using that type of training for their business presentations. So that's the way it's going. I also mentioned to you, just to wrap up on my slideshow, there's an AI for that. So that's the site that I referred you to. It doesn't, again, here's a level of scariness that we're probably all becoming familiar with now. only recently, as you can see there on the red line at the top there, there's an AI for that, now has a plugin which goes into ChatGPT 4. So the AI is feeding off the AI. It is feeding off itself, and all the time making itself smarter about what it can actually produce for you. So as Irina said, I think this is about not being overwhelmed with the fact that there are 4,612 AIs at that particular time able to do 1,292 tasks, but find a way in which you can use artificial intelligence to do something for you that you already do, but allows you to do it more effectively, more efficiently, with more confidence. And as I said, its role as an audience analysis tool has been phenomenally valuable to me in my own work, and also in the training that I have done with my clients. So a couple of questions here. Everything I've shown you, apart from that very last video, is free. Now, when I took you to ChatGPT, you saw the the lineup for the paid ChatGPT 4, but everything I showed you was generated by ChatGPT 3.5. So I'm not showing you anything. Even that Menti little quiz that I did for you, that's free. So you are all welcome to go to mentimeter.com and get yourself a free account. And I use it a lot, particularly when you're having hybrid meetings. It's a wonderful way of being able to have people from in the room and wherever they might be attending from all over the world to be able to interact and feed their opinions into the one resource. For members who have not used AI before, the obvious way is to start with ChatGPT, just to get it and start having conversations with it. Now, there's one I didn't mention, and I apologize. Possibly the most powerful research tool that I have ever seen. This is called ChatPDF. ChatPDF free version will allow you to feed a 120-page PDF document into that piece of software, and then you can use the chatbot to interrogate it. So you can feed the document in there, and then you can say, please find me all references to this. Please find me what its opinion is about that. And it will interrogate that. If you go to $5 US per month, you can go to the paid version of ChatPDF, and its ability is seriously scary. I can feed a full book into ChatPDF and then ask it to give me every reference about a particular piece of information, about a particular resource, about a particular person. It will interrogate that entire book. For those of you who want to help your club, here are ways that I have done that. Number one, I've used ChatGPT to create meeting reviews. Now, we have got Addie and Rob and Adrian, I think June as well, who have done great meeting reviews for our club. But in case one of them doesn't feel like doing it one day, what I did was I simply took our agenda, fed that into ChatGPT and said, please write me a meeting review. And it gave me a quite good meeting review, but it was generic. So then what I did was I took that agenda and then I just put in some of the content, like what a person's speech title was, what some of the table topics were. And then I said, please write me a meeting review of that. And it was like the damn thing was in the room. It was scarily perceptive of what the review that it actually wrote. You can use ChatGPT to write content for your website. As Irina mentioned, it writes good sales copy. You can write content for your website asking it to search engine optimize for certain keywords, because that's where ChatGPT came from. It was originally to create computer code. And I'd also like to mention to you another piece of beta software called Gista, G-I-S-T-A, that's in your handout there. Gista allows you to create a chatbot. Now, they are saying that within a very short period of time, it will provide you with a chatbot that you can then embed into your website. So I have played with this. I simply took all of the text from our Brisbane Sunrise Speakers website, put it into a Word document, fed it into Gister, and then I've been interrogating it. I said something like, I'm a little bit nervous. Should I join your club? And it gave me 2 paragraphs of, oh, I totally understand that you are nervous. Many people are nervous. Public speaking is one of the greatest things that generates nervousness. Toastmaster clubs can be really helpful, particularly Brisbane. It was just wonderful stuff that it generated. And I am predicting, again, within 12 months, if the Toastmasters free host toast HTML allows it, you will be able to put a chatbot directly on the front of your club's website, which you can then keep feeding information into. And then when people ask it questions, it will harvest that information and feed it back to them. So you can use it for creating better text. You can use it for creating meeting reviews. And eventually, I believe you can use it for building a chatbot that you'll be able to put into your website. All of those are shown in the handout. Now, again, we probably have gone into the area of information overload with what I've shared with you, but all I've shared with you are functionalities that I believe Toastmasters could use in one way or another. And as Irina Yeshenshaw said, we have a choice. We can either become familiar with this and recognize the fact that it's out there and not be scared of it. I mean, if you've ever used GPS, then you've been using AI. So it's about time we became a little bit more proactive with that and learned how we can use it to be able to help us to be more functional in our lives. And in our Toastmaster lives, I believe it has enormous value. So in the last 5 minutes now, I just want to see somebody said they use Canva a lot. Yes, the AI in Canva is very, very clever. And it, again, is continually growing, is continually becoming smarter. I am thinking about having, and I've got to get feedback from my other club members, but I'm thinking about, because we run a room and Zoom meetings, I'm thinking about either next meeting or the meeting after, I'm going to have the a Udly chatbot join our meeting and do analytics for somebody's speech. Now, if you hear our Toastmaster International President, and I want to echo his words, we need to remember that this is artificial intelligence. This is something which can help us to be able to become smarter. But as Irina Yeshenshaw said, it will never replace the human being. And here's a sign that I put up in front of all of my trainees whenever we're talking about something like that. Please remember, it's a machine. It has no brain. You have to use your own. These machines can make us smarter, but they can't give us intelligence that we don't already have. So Christine said, the secretary function is fantastic. Again, this only came up as a possible use in that discussion I had with Irina. But when we realized this chatbot will attend the meeting, will give you a summary of what's actually being said, and then will also give you the full transcript of what's being said, to me, that is the ultimate minute taking, because you've actually got the minutes, the official minutes, which are concise and precise. And then if for some reason you need to go back and look behind that to be able to see what was actually said, it's all been captured there without somebody having to develop, what do they call it? Shorthand skills that used to be used many years ago. Imagine how this is going to change court reporting. Imagine how it's going to change so many areas. But basically, it's just going to take away the boring grunt work and allow us to be able to use our brains to do more clever, creative things. And that's the whole idea of artificial intelligence. It's a bicycle for your brain. It's a way that you can become faster. But if you don't balance, you're going to come a cropper. We're going to be wrapping up now in a couple of minutes. Are there any questions? Please unmute yourself. Let's have a discussion. Any questions? Any comments? We're all experienced people. Sorry.
All very exciting, Kevin. Thank you for all the time that you've put into this to be able to teach us.
Well, thank you. Very welcome. I see Toastmasters is a very interesting, specific use of this type of technology.
Could you tell
And
us
I
how,
would hope that you could find something from what we've spoken about today. Sorry, Rob?
sorry to interrupt you. Udly, I just don't know how to spell it, please.
YOODLI.
Thank you.
But please have a look in the chat room and download that PDF. It's been put in there. June's been putting it in there fairly constantly. So just look in the chat room and you'll see the PDF there.
Yeah.
I'll print that out. And that will give you the names and the references to all of the resources that I've mentioned today. And again, congratulations to Toastmasters in being quite advanced in forming a partnership with Udly. I hope we can become familiar with that so as we can use it to improve our speaking.
Hi, Kevin. It's Lorraine Walker here. I'm sorry I was late coming in. I slept in. Is this recording available afterwards to go through what I missed?
Yes. So I'm recording this. I'm going to be finishing recording in about a minute. Give us a couple of days. And if you go to the Brisbane Sunrise Speakers website and click through to our YouTube channel, you'll find that the video is there free for public access. That's what we're doing at Brisbane Sunrise Speakers Toastmasters every 5th Monday of the month. We have about 3, because we meet on the 1st and 3rd Mondays of the month. On the 5th Monday of the month, we have this tradition of doing a bit of an educational session. We have started recording those, and the recordings of those, the last one we did was Towards a Funnier You, about the use of humor in speaking. Those have been recorded and are available on our YouTube channel. So our aim is to try and add to the rich resources that are already available in Toastmasters.
Thank you for that. That'll be amazing.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to end the meeting unless anybody's got any final comments. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you've been able to join us at this time, then you can also join us on the 1st and 3rd Mondays of every month, 6:30. You can stay all cozy and warm during winter, or you can even come out in summer and join us to watch the sun come up